Hello everyone, let's continue and understand about zone configuration file. In the last lecture, we had simply added the main configuration file of bind, that was name.conf, and in that file we had put few entries about the forward and reverse lookup zone. So let me again log into my box. So that was the file. I have just opened my file, that is name.conf. Here you can see I had put the entry for my forward lookup zone file, and this is my reverse lookup zone. Here you can see that I have mentioned the file name as well, that is for forward as well as my reverse as well. So the same file name I need to create into this location, that is my var name, and the same file for reverse also I need to create here. Here you can see that I had already created both the file. Okay, so I am going to edit my first file, that is forward lookup zone file, and the few entries you can see in the file. So let's understand all the entries here. So the very first entry in the zone file, these are my zone file only. Okay, so the very first entry in the zone file is usually the zone's time to leave, that is TTL value, right? So the purpose of TTL is to reduce the number of DNS queries the authoritative DNS server has to answer. What does it mean? It means that suppose in my environment there is a client and they want to open a website like abc.com. So what will happen, that request will go to the DNS server, like this particular client wants to open a website. So the DNS, if they have the information in their cache, they will respond back. If they do not have, what will happen? They will forward the request to the authoritative DNS server. The authoritative DNS server will respond back like this is the IP of abc.com, and it will come back to the DNS server, and DNS server will respond back to the client, and then client will open the website with the IP address which they have got from the DNS server. Now DNS servers, what will happen? They will cache this information in their cache. So caching DNS, they always, any DNS servers, they always, act as a cache DNS server as well. So it caches the responses to the queries from the authoritative DNS servers. Suppose the same users next day, if again they want to open the same website like abc.com. So again the request will go to the DNS server. Now this time what will happen? The DNS server will not going to ask to the authoritative server. They will respond back to the client with the information that they have in their cache information, cache memory, you can say that. So the purpose of TTL is to reduce the number of DNS queries the authoritative DNS server has to answer. If the TTL is set to 3 days, here I have mentioned, it means that the caching server uses the original stored response for 3 days before making the query again. So this is TTL here. The next line you can see, that is my DNS resource records. Here you can see the few entries, that is name, class, type and data. The first one is the name, second one is the class, and this is the type and data. And one more thing, you need not to create the whole file. There are sample files which are already available. You just copy the same file and do some changes, that's all. So if you are doing the practice at your home, simply you can do that. The sample file that is available, I will show you where it is. Now this is the name. The syntax is like name, this is the class, type and data, and at last it is the email address. So here at the rate means that at the rate, in simple words, it denotes the root name of the zone, right? And that is the sign in the shorthand reference, we can say that the original the current origin zone in the etc and name.conf file. So it is like that only. The second one is your class. So class is your internet, like in means the full form in is internet class. So what does it mean? It means that in simple word, it is defining IP address mapping information for bind. And the type is this is the type, and this is we can say the DNS record type. This is SOS, source of authoritative. The type of DNS record here, it is source of authority. So source of authority means that it is saying that this is my DNS and this is my authoritative server. And the fourth entry, that is my name server. Okay, and it is the data. We can say that this is, if we'll talk about the syntax, we call it as a data, and here we have to mention the name server, the fully qualified name of your primary DNS server, and it must be followed by dot. At the last you can see it is mentioned a dot here, and here you can see the few entries, that is serial number, refresh, retry. So basically, serial number, whenever you create forward lookup file, this files, you put some serial number. The syntax is this one. This is year, and this is month, and this is the date and time, hour. So the purpose of serial is that, suppose I have few slaves in my environment, right? And suppose today I have configured my DNS. I have put 5 entries for the client machines. I have 5 servers in my environment. And after 3 days, what happened? I need to do some changes in this file, my forward lookup file. So if I do any changes in my forward lookup file, what usually I will do, I will change the serial number with the current date, so that whatever the clients, whatever the slave servers, slave DNS servers we have in my environment, they will come to know that like some changes have happened at my DNS server, right? So purpose is that only. So if you have done any changes in your main DNS server, your client will come to know that if you do any changes, they will cache, they will tally with the serial number only. Suppose today they have the serial number of your DNS servers, right? And after 3 days, again you have done some changes. Your slave machines, they are coming to your primary DNS servers with the same serial numbers, and they will try to tally with that, and they will come to know that, oh, the serial number has changed in my primary DNS server. It means that there has some changes. So again they will cache all the information from the primary DNS server. And apart from that, you can see the few entries, that is refresh. So basically these entries for the slave servers. So refresh means tells the slave DNS servers how often they should check the master DNS server, right? And retry means, suppose the slave server is trying to communicate with the master server, and the master server is not responding. So this is time, how many times they will keep on try to connect with the master server. And expiry means that after some times they keep on trying, but your primary server is not responding. So they will come to know that, conclude that my primary server got expired. Right? So the total amount of time a slave should try to contact the master server before concluding that my DNS server is expired, right? And this is my minimum TTL. So basically TTL is basically many times when the clients they will make query for the subdomains in your environment, but in actual they are not existing. Suppose you are having a subdomain like admin.example.com, but currently that is not existing at all, and any client they are trying to communicate with that. So what will happen here, a request is coming from any client, like they want to open admin.example.com, but that is not existing at all, right? So it will respond back, and it will again cache that information in their cache, such type of request, right? So this value defines the caching duration of your DNS includes in their responses. So such type of request like that is not existing in an environment, so they will keep that information for that much of time that you have mentioned in the minimum TTL. Apart from that, there are few resource required, like this is your NS, that is a name server. This is my MX record. For mail servers, A is for the address. This is internet. This is canonical name. So few entries you can also see that in this file, and basically this is my server. So friends, that's all for this lecture, and from the next lecture we'll try to understand from here, right? So thanks for watching, and if you have time, please join with me in the next lecture.